joining us one more in one of our webinars, our fifth in our series. This series which began a few months ago and which will hopefully continue for a couple of months to go. This webinar will be about idioms and phrasal verbs. So if you're not familiar with these terms, I'm sure you will understand what they mean by the end of this webinar. Let me ask those students that have joined us through our virtual platform if they can see me and understand me well. So I'm just asking yes or no to everyone. All right, absolutely clear. I like that. All right. So just to remind you that you don't have microphones active, but the public chat is available for anyone to ask questions during the webinar. You may ask questions at any time. Anyway, we will devote a couple of minutes at the end of the webinar to discuss these questions. So you may just ask at any moment, but rest assured that we will devote some time to answering questions. So everyone can hear me correctly, so we will just begin with the topics of what we will be covering today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is that these phrases are not what you think, they are. So this will be the beginning of our webinar today. Then we will discuss the difference between idioms and phrasal verbs. Do they have any similarities? Are there any differences? Then we will discuss idioms, yes, individually, and we will discuss phrasal verbs individually too. And at the end, I'm going to give you some tips on how to learn idioms and phrasal verbs. Yeah. Of course, by the end of this webinar, you will not have learned all the possible phrasal verbs and all the possible idioms existing in the English language, but you will have learned a few of them. And most importantly, you will have gained a deeper understanding of what these phrases mean in English. Yeah. So let's begin with this thing I was telling you about. So these phrases are not what you think. They are not what they look like. Yes. So you have a meme on the center of the presentation illustrating what I'm talking about. Yes. So we've got this cat and this dog, and they say this is not what it looks like. Well, idioms and phrasal verbs are a bit like this. They are not what they look like. Yes, so they may look like something at first, but this is not actually what they really mean. Yes, so I want you to keep this idea in mind all throughout this webinar, that what you're looking at is not what at first glance appears to be. Yeah. All right, I hope you have liked this meme. They are really popular nowadays, aren't they? So we're going to begin with a question, yes? And the question is, who is under the weather? Yeah, you know, the preposition under means below, yes? So we all know this elementary phrase, the cat is under the table, and the weather, well, you know, that refers to the climate, el tiempo. So the question is, who is under the weather? Is it A or is it B? Who of these two characters that we can see on the center of the screen is under the weather? Yeah, or who is feeling under the weather? I'll give you a couple of seconds to think. So literally in Spanish, we would say, ¿quién está debajo del tiempo? This would be the literal translation of this phrase. But remember the previous meme I showed you. It's not what you think it is. All right, so Just a reminder to those of you that have joined us on our virtual platform, um, there are options at the bottom where you can click. So 10 people believe this is A, and 20 people believe this is B. All right, so the answer is a bit difficult to say. I mean, if we are talking about something that is strictly literal, we would say it's definitely A, somebody is under the weather. But that really doesn't mean anything in English. I mean, how come you are under the weather? That is really nothing. So that's why it is the girl or the woman in B who is feeling or just is under the weather. So, under the weather is a very common idiom or idiomatic expression in English, which means to be feeling unwell, to be feeling ill, to be feeling sick. Yes. So, if you are feeling sick, like this girl is on the screen, yeah. So, if you're blowing your nose because you've got a cold, yeah, you may say, I'm feeling under the weather. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with the weather. You can be feeling under the weather on a rainy day, on a Sunday, that is exactly the same. Um, in the following slide, you have this information precisely. So it is to feel ill. Yes, and we've got an example at the bottom that says, I'm feeling a bit under the weather. I think I'm getting a cold. Yes, so just remember, everyone, that to get a cold means tener un resfrío. Yes, it has nothing to do with cold, the feeling of temperature. Let's look at another one. Yes, so it's a similar question I'm asking. Let's see if you get it this time. Who is giving up? Hmm? So give up. Sorry, I asked yes or no. No, that's not the right question. Just a second. Okay, who is giving up? Give up is a phrasal verb. Yes. So is it A who's giving up, or is it B who's giving up? Yeah. So again, remember the meme that we saw at the beginning. So it's not what you think it is. All right. Okay, so it was a bit better this time. So 81% of our viewers believe that it is B, and 19% believe it is A. So yes, actually, if we take this metaphorical meaning out of the phrasal verb, B would be the correct one. Yes, so to give up is to surrender, rendirse, or to stop doing something, yeah, that you were doing before. So in A, we can see a person holding a rose, like giving somebody a rose up in the sky, but that has nothing to do with the meaning of the phrasal verb. So this is a phrasal verb, give up, and phrasal verbs are not what you think they are. So you cannot understand what a phrasal verb means just because you know the verb and just because you know the preposition. So you know give, you know that give is moving something from you to somebody else, and you know that up means in an upwards position, so the opposite of down. But give up in combination means something else. And we will see this in our following slide. So give up, this is to stop trying or doing something. So, yeah, so we've got an example down below. It says, you'll never guess the answer. Do you give up? Yes. Se rinden. Do you give up? Yeah. And we can see a very illustrative person holding a white All right, I think you can hear me now. Can't you? You can, right? Okay, yes, most of you are saying yes. Let me ask each of you again, yes, if you can hear me, please. All right, so everyone is saying yes. All right, good. So let's look at what they have in common. Yes, we've got these verses, idioms versus phrasal verbs. Yeah, and we've got this photo of two eggs. Yes, one is brown and the other is white. But if you looked at the inside, would they look really different? Not at all. So eggs appear to be different, but then on the inside, they are exactly the same. They're white and yellow, right? So here we've got a few things that phrasal verbs and idioms have got in common. The first thing is that they are multi-word units. Yes, multi-word. That is to say, more than one word. Yes, so there isn't a phrasal verb of one word. That is a verb. That is just a verb. And there isn't an idiom of just one word. So this is the first thing to bear in mind, to remember. Phrasal verbs and idioms are multi-word units. They are idiomatic. Yes, this is a word we have in Spanish too, and it means that they have a meaning that is not obvious at all from their individual words. So even if you looked at the individual words, you wouldn't be able to understand what it means. We just explored two clear examples. So give up, yes, you look at the meaning of give, you look at the meaning of up, but they individually don't really tell what the meaning really is. And the same happens with under the weather. You know the preposition under, you know the article the, and you know the noun weather. But even so, you wouldn't be able to guess what the phrasal verb, what the idiom means. And they do have something else in common. That is that the best way to understand them is to see them in context. So idioms and phrasal verbs work very well in context. All language works very well in context, but idioms and phrasal verbs much more than anything. Yeah. Let's look at some more features they've got in common. Yes. We've got three more. Unfortunately, and we've got a sad face over there, they're a little more difficult to learn than regular vocabulary. So, regular words, individual words like nouns or adjectives or verbs, they're easier to learn. Phrasal verbs and idioms are a bit more difficult than the regular thing. Both of them are a bit more common in speaking than in writing. Yeah, so this doesn't mean that we don't use phrasal verbs in writing or we don't use idioms in writing. Yeah, not at all. We do use them both in speaking and in writing, but we could say they're a bit more common in spoken English. Yeah, and this is connected to the following one. Yes, which is there is almost always a more formal way of expressing the same idea. So in the case of idioms and phrasal verbs, you would have equivalents, yes, which are in general more formal. Yes. So for example, when we talk about the phrasal verb go on, yes, it means continue. Yes. So for example, if I say, let's go on with this class, let's go on. All right, I could well have said, let's continue. Yes, continue is a bit more formal than go on. Yeah, so there are always equivalents. Yeah, and that's why we say that there is usually a more formal alternative. That really doesn't mean that phrasal verbs are informal. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that phrasal verbs and idioms have always have or usually have a more formal alternative. And finally, this is a very interesting characteristic of both phrasal verbs and idiomatic expressions, and is that they are made of words you probably already know. Yeah, so this is the good news. You don't have to learn individual words again because you already know under, you already know the, you already know whether, and in the case of give up, you already know give, and you already give up. Yeah. All right. Good. Let's move on to what they don't have in common. Yes. So let me bother those on our virtual platform again. Some people are reporting to me that they don't see my face. Do you see my face? Sorry, I'm asking so many checking questions. Okay. Okay, so it's just two people who don't see my face. I don't know, it might be connected with your internet connection. Yes, most of you can. All right. Look at this photo of the pear and the apple. All right, two very common fruits to refer to something that is different, right? We've got a few things, yes, for which phrasal verbs and idioms are not similar. For example, most phrasal verbs consist of two words. Some have three words. So this would be like the minimum and maximum. Yes. So a phrasal verb has two words or three words, but no more than that. Yes, and no less than that. So can't be one. Yeah, and idioms consist of two or more words, and we wouldn't actually be able to set a limit for this. Yeah, it could be many words, yes, as many words as the idiom requires, even a whole sentence. Yes, why not? Phrasal verbs are verbs. Yes, this is what they are, even though we can then transform them into nouns, for example, they are verbs. Yes, so they only refer to actions, feelings, or states. Yeah, but we use them usually after a subject. Yes, just like a verb works. And idioms can be used in many situations. So they can be used as verbs, so they can refer to actions, they can refer to situations, they can refer to people, so we could use them to refer to people or to refer to things, for example. So they are much more variable, and they are much more suitable for as many situations. All right, let's explore now idioms individually, as I anticipated in the beginning. So we now know a few things. Let's recap a little bit. Idioms and phrasal verbs are not what you think they are. Yes, they've got lots of similarities and a few differences. And here we've got a full definition of idioms, because you might be saying, okay, you're talking about idioms, you're talking about phrasal verbs, but you haven't told us what they are. Well, this is the part where I'm telling you. So idioms are fixed expressions, yeah, with meanings that are usually not clear or obvious. The individual words often give you no help in deciding the meaning, but the context usually helps us. So this is a broad definition. So we're going to break it into parts so we understand this definition fully. Yeah. So we said that idioms are fixed expressions. So what's the meaning of fixed? Fixed is something that cannot be moved, that cannot be changed, that cannot be altered easily. Yeah. So for example, we've got an arrow pointing to our first example. Kill two birds with a stone. Yeah. Kill two birds with one stone. This is the idiomatic expression, yeah, which is very similar to a Spanish one, right? Not literally the same, but it's quite similar. So in Spanish, you say matar dos pájaros de un tiro. Okay, in English, it's more Pacific. We just killed them with a stone, not with a gun. Yeah. Well, tiro may refer to a slingshot too. Una gomera, for example, may not be gun. May be a gun only. So they are fixed. That is to say, you cannot say kill two birds with a rock, for example, yeah, because they are fixed. The expression is kill two birds with one stone, yeah. You can't say, for example, you are hitting two birds with a stone, because the expression is to kill, not to hit, yeah. The same happens in Spanish. Imagine that someone says, y bueno, estás matando dos pájaros con una piedra. Well, it sounds a little bit strange, you know. We know, because we are experienced Spanish speakers, that the structure, the full structure is matar dos pájaros de un tiro, not with a rock, yeah, or with a stone. So this is the first thing. They are fixed expressions, yeah, with meanings that are usually not clear or obvious. And here you've got another example. I hope you can see this. I'm zooming in a little bit. This photograph, or this picture on the bottom corner. So we've got a person driving up the wall, you know, quite unusual, quite unusual. This person is defying gravity, yeah. So we've got a vertical wall, yes, and this person is driving up, yeah. So we wouldn't really understand what this means, yeah. What is to drive somebody up the wall, yeah. So the meaning is not clear, yes, from the words that you know, yeah. So this is also connected to the second part of the definition. The individual words often give you no help in deciding the meaning. So to drive somebody up the wall is not to take them up, but it is to drive somebody crazy. So if you say, oh, stop it, you're driving me up the wall, it means you're driving me crazy, you're making me feel angry, you're making me furious, yeah. That is to drive somebody up the wall, yeah. All right. So what we've got next, yes, is actually a definition for this. So the individual words give you no help, but the context usually helps us. Yes. So look at the context. We've got a furious girl, yes, and we've got lots of dirty dishes and cups, you know. And we've got an example that reads, my flatmate, yes, is driving me up the wall. She never helps with the housework, yes, and look at how furious this woman is. So even if you were listening to a native speaker using an idiom in context, you might be able to understand what they mean, even though you haven't heard it before, because you can see how angry this person is. So the only thing you can think of is that this person is angry, yes, at the situation. Good. We've got some good news. So there are a few exceptions to these rules, yeah. Some idioms are not so difficult to guess. Yes, this is the minority, to tell you the truth. The majority are difficult to guess, but some of them are not. For example, if all else fails, I'll have to sell the car. Yes, if all else fails, I'll have to sell the car. So meaning if everything that I've already tried doesn't work, I will have to sell the car. Like this will be my last resort, yes, in a way. So this is quite a literal idiomatic expression, yes, but it's still a fixed expression because people use them like this. They don't change them in any way. Yeah, they say if all else fails, I'll just travel to this country, for example. Yes, if things don't work out good for me, I'll do that thing. And others allow a little variation. So again, not the majority, but some of them we can change some words. Again, we can't change them according to what we like. I mean, there are some different options. For example, stop acting the fool. Yes, stop acting the goat. You know, the goat is an animal. Cabra, yes. So stop acting the fool or stop acting the goat would mean the same. Yeah. So stop behaving like a fool. Yes, so that would be un tonto. That is fool. All right. Let's just look at some examples. Yes, we're going to look at types of idioms, type of idiomatic expressions. Yes, we've got different possible structures for the idiomatic expressions. So we've got the type of idiom, the example, and the meaning. Yeah, one of the most common type of idioms are a verb and something else. Yes, so an idiomatic expression beginning with a verb. Yes, so for example, get the wrong end of the stick. Yeah, you can see I have illustrated this on the right. We've got a wooden stick, un palito, that is stick, yes, and the person is choosing one of the ends, yes, una de las puntas. So literally, this would be like tomar o conseguir el lado equivocado de un palo. So would be pretty strange if we try to understand this literally. Yes. So the meaning is to understand something wrong. Yeah. So for example, if you're telling someone something, yes, and you feel they don't understand what you're saying, you can say, "Oh, I think you're getting the wrong end of the stick." Yes, or you can say it yourself. Yeah, you can say, "I think I got the wrong end of the stick." Yes, did you mean that, for example? Yes. Another one. Yes, this is quite popular also in Spanish. Yes, to be in the red. Yeah. Literally, estar en rojo o en el rojo. Yes, in Spanish we use it without the article, right? So this means to have a negative bank balance. Yes, so when you have no more money, when you in fact owe money, yes, we say that you are in the red. Yes, and of course the color means nothing. Like, what is to be in the red? That is absolutely nothing if we take the literal meaning out of it. Yeah, but we know that this is an idiomatic expression. It's not what we think it is, and it means to have a negative bank balance. Then idioms could also be formed out of prepositional phrases. So that is to say, a phrase beginning with a preposition. Yeah. For example, in the blink of an eye. Yeah. Blink means to close your eyes. Yes. It means pestañear. This is blink. Yes. And it means in a very short time. Yeah. For example, I don't know, you can say, is the project ready? No, don't worry, it is not, but I will finish in the blink of an eye. Yes, so I will finish very quickly. Yeah, we've got a very similar one. So you will see that this happens because for various reasons, cultural reasons, origin reasons, some idiomatic expressions do have correspondences to Spanish. So in Spanish we say en un abrir y cerrar de ojos. So the difficult thing is that you have to have heard it before, because you can't say, suppose you want to say en un abrir y cerrar de ojos, you cannot say in the opening and closing of eyes. So that makes no sense if you want to translate them. So that's why you should be cautious, yes, and not literally translate the idioms that you know in Spanish. Yeah, so you can only use idioms in English when you know they exist. Yeah, you cannot make them up. And here we've got a picture of a person closing one eye. Yes, pictures, illustrations are very good to remember meanings. Let's look at some more structures of idiomatic expressions. We also have got noun phrases. So noun phrases are groups of words in which the most important word is a noun. Yes, so that is the most important part of this phrase. For example, a piece of cake. Yeah, cake is the most important word in the sentence. So a piece of cake, you can see a piece of cake on the screen. Yes, so at first glance it means nothing. It means something to eat in Spanish. Yes, if you ask someone to give you a piece of cake. But in English, a piece of cake, apart from the literal meaning, yeah, because you can also use I'm eating a piece of cake, that's perfect. But apart from this literal meaning, a piece of cake also means something very easy. Yeah, so you can say idioms and phrasal verbs are a piece of cake, so they are really easy for me. Yeah, so that is what a piece of cake means. Or a stone's throw. This is another noun phrase. Yes, so stone is the most important word, and as a stone's throw means very near, at a very short distance. Yeah? So when something is very near to something else, for example, when you talk about your house and, I don't know, the supermarket, you can say the supermarket is a stone's throw or a stone's thrown away from my house. Yes, at a very short distance. Yeah. If you analyze idioms, sometimes they make sense. Sometimes they don't. For example, a piece of cake doesn't actually make sense. Like, what's the connection between something that is and a piece of cake? There's not much really. But a stone's throw, if you think about that, you may think of the idea of throwing a stone. Yes, and you know that with human force, you can't really get so far. I mean, there is a limit to how far you can get if you throw a stone. So that's why it makes more sense that something is a stone's throw away, you know? So the distance that it would take you to throw a stone in a way. Then we've got another type of idioms, yeah, that is called similes. Yes, similes. This is when idioms have the preposition as, an adjective, yes, and the preposition as again, which we usually use them for comparison. For example, as blind as a bat. Yes, blind means ciego. Yes, so if you are as blind as a bat, oh, here it is in a very short time. This is wrong. Sorry about this. As blind as a bat means you can't see much. You can't see a thing. Yes, you are you are totally blind. Yes, you know, this is taken from this. I think it's a myth that bats cannot see. Yeah, but that is what the origin is. So here it does make some sense, you know, because bats at least are said to be blind. So that's where this comes from. And we've got two more types. The fourth one is that idioms can be phrases with two words, usually with or and in the middle. For example, more or less. Yes, this one you know because we use them in Spanish too. Yes, más o menos. It's exactly the same. Yeah, and this means approximately. Yeah, and we've got another one, give and take. Yeah, so you can say it's very important. Or give and take is very important in a relationship. Yeah, give and take. So I give you, yes, and I also take from you. Yeah, this is a spirit of compromise. Yes, when you help someone and they also help you back. Yeah, this is give and take. And finally, we do also have exclamations or everyday expressions. Yes, for example, everyone, again, this in a very short time is wrong. Everyone knows, thank God, yes? So we use this exclamation, yeah, and maybe we are not thanking God, yeah? Because in some cases we may not believe, yes, in God, but still we use the expression thank God, yes, to mean that we are relieved, you know, aliviados, because something bad already happened or didn't happen or whatever, yeah? Or as I was saying, yes, when you're speaking and someone maybe interrupts you, so you say, as I was saying, como estaba diciendo, yeah, you know, you may say, okay, but this is just normal. Well, but it is a fixed expression because people always say, as I was saying. They don't say, as I was saying some minutes ago, usually. I mean, you can say it, but it's not the fixed expression. Or like I was saying, or like I said, or as I said. Usually we say, as I was saying. That is the most common form. Good. It is time for quiz. It is time for a quiz. Yes, you're going to think individually, yes, at home. You're going to think of these examples of idioms and the meanings. Yes, so we've got, in number one, we've got be over the moon. Yes, you know what the moon is. Yes, so imagine somebody over the moon. Yes. In fact, I've got a picture here for you to imagine. Yes, so imagine somebody over the moon, over there. Yes, so there is like a little pig on top of the moon. Then heart of gold. Yes, so this is another expression, heart of gold. And finally, to take the bull by the horns. Yes, horns are what animals have, some animals have on the top of their heads, cuernos. Yes, this is to take the bull by the horns. And we've got three possible meanings. One, or A, is to act positively to face and attack a problem. Yeah, so when you act and you attack a problem. The second one, if you are very generous and very kind. And the last one, be extremely happy and excited. So let's start with the first one. Number one, be over the moon. Be over the moon. Do you think it means A, to act positively and attack a problem? Be very kind and generous, yes? Or be extremely happy and excited. What is to be over the moon? You can look at the pig, at the pig's expression to get an idea of what this idiomatic expression means. All right, so most of you have voted for C, and that's right, yes. To be over the moon means to be extremely happy or excited about something, yes? So suppose when the quarantine, imagine with the time when the quarantine finishes, yes, when we can go out, we will say, how do you feel? I'm over the moon. Yes, I can go anywhere. I can go to a restaurant. I can visit my friends and family. I'm feeling over the moon. Yeah. Then to have a heart of gold. What is to have a heart of gold? Is it to act positively to face a problem, to be very kind and very generous? Or is it to be extremely happy and excited? All right, so every one of you, no exception, have gone for B. Exactly, it's to have a heart of gold is to be very kind and generous. Yes, so in fact, we use it in Spanish too, right? Tiene un corazón de oro. Do we say that? Maybe. Yes, we say that too. Yes. Good. And finally, to take the bull by the horns. Well, I won't ask you because you will say, do you think we're stupid? Of course it is A. Yes, it is. So I will use another color because it's kind of difficult to see. All right, so to take the bull by the horns is to act positively, to face and attack a problem. We do have a Spanish equivalent. Maybe it's not so common in Argentina, or it may be, yes, tomar el toro por las astas, you know? So that's a way we can remember, yes? So this is to act, to do something actively in order to solve a situation, yeah? And we've got the three photos illustrating the three idiomatic expressions here. Good. Let's look at three more. We've got to see light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, to see light at the end of the tunnel. To talk behind somebody's back. Yes, this SB would be some kind of abbreviation for somebody. So to talk behind somebody's back. And to get to the point, yeah? And we've got three possible definitions to come to the important part of the matter, yes? A la parte más importante de la cuestión, this is the matter. to say bad things about somebody when they are not there, so when they are not present. And finally, a sign, un signo, that the situation will get better. Yes, and we have, again, 3 photos illustrating the situation. You know, the tunnel, speaking behind somebody's back, and getting to the point. So come on, let's try to match these 3, and I'm going to start with number 4. Is number 4, oh, sorry, not A, B, or C, sorry. This would be D, E, F. So what about number 4? To see, okay, to see light at the end of the tunnel. What is to see light at the end of the tunnel? Do we use this one in Spanish? I wonder. Yes, we do. Maybe we don't say to see, but maybe we say hay, right? Hay luz al final del túnel, maybe. Anyway, it sounds, in Spanish, I don't know, at least to me, it sounds a bit dramatic, like the tunnel, you know? Because light, luz in Spanish also means something else, like maybe it's connected with God and all that, but in English it is not. So yes, most of you are going for F. Yes, correct. So it is a sign that the situation will get better. Yeah. Again, we can also use it in the coronavirus context. Yeah. So everyone knows that recently there was good news about improvements in the development of the vaccine in Oxford. So we may say that this news help us to see light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, so help us think that the situation will be solved. What is to talk behind somebody's back? Is it D or E? So is it to come to the important part of the matter, or to say bad things about somebody when they are not there? What would you say? Okay, yes. So most of you are going for E. Yes, very good. And that's actually right. So to talk behind somebody's back is to say bad things about somebody. Again, in Spanish, we do have something similar, right? So hablar a las espaldas de alguien. We don't use the preposition behind, yes. So we don't say detrás de la espalda. Well, it might be, but it's not that common. So yes, that is E. Very good. And the last one, to get to the point, I won't ask you. So this is to come to the important part of the matter. So in Spanish, o hablar por atrás. Exactly. Yes, that's the best one. I like it. Yes. So in Spanish, get to the point. We also use, right? We may say ir al grano, right? Bueno, vamos al grano. Yes, let's discuss the most important matter. Let's go to the most important point of the whole discussion. So you see that even though they are easy to understand, get to the point, you understand them, especially in context, when we say, okay, let's get to the point. Let's discuss this. All right, you understand. But what I'm trying to say here is that when you try to use them, yes, you shouldn't translate them from Spanish. Because if you say ir al grano, yes, for example, it may be you may be talking about, I don't know, actually food, crops, or whatever, you know. So you need to have heard it before in English so you can use it with confidence, and you can say, okay, let's get to the point. Well, let's move on. And this is an interesting question I will be asking you. Idioms or proverbs? Like, what's the difference between an idiom and a proverb? We all know proverbs. Yes, we have proverbs in Spanish too. Yeah. So what do we mean by proverbs, and how different are they from idioms? Yes. So we've got a definition on the screen, and it says, when we use widely known fixed phrases, so widely known, bien conocidas por todos, or sentences. So they are usually longer, yes, than idioms. Sometimes they are sentences. And we usually use them at the end of a story, yes, or in response to some event or to comment on a situation. Yes, so imagine that somebody finishes telling a story, for example, and you know what? I knew Sarah, and she is a pretty cool girl. Yes, she's quite friendly. She's quite kind. Yes, so really, it's not what we thought. Yes, it's not what we thought of her at the beginning when we first met her. So another person may comment to this story, to this little anecdote, and would say, you know, never judge a book by its cover. Yes, never judge a book by its cover. So in Spanish, this would be like las apariencias engañan or something like that. So you see, they are like closing sentences, closing comments for a story or an anecdote that has been told to some people. Or for example, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yes, what do you think it means? Don't put all the eggs in one basket. Yeah, so it would be like try to be open to more opportunities, because maybe if you focus too much on something, yes, that may not work. And yes, that's like Spanish as well. No poner todos los huevos en una canasta. We say that too. You're right. So you see the difference between an idiom and a proverb. Proverbs are more cultural. You know, they come from, they have to do with the country's culture sometimes. And yes, in some cases they may be easily old-fashioned. Yes, and you should be careful. Old-fashioned pueden pasar de moda. So in general, proverbs are more old-fashioned than idioms. So you should be careful with this. And we've got a nice one. When the cat's away, the mice will play. You know, when the cat is away, that is to say, when the cat is not around. Yes, the mice, remember, is the irregular plural for mouse. Yes, will play. Again, this may be used at the end of an anecdote. Yeah, for example, I tell you an anecdote of, I don't know, a workplace, un lugar de trabajo, and I don't know, people commenting on the fact that they ordered food and they made some sort of celebration for a birthday because the boss was not there. Yeah, so you can say at the end of this story, somebody may comment, when the cat's away, the mice will play. Yes. So that's, yes, Leo is saying this is of course very, very common in the context of the workplace. So this is a proverb. Yes, they are very similar to idioms because they are fixed and all that stuff. But they are usually longer and they may be old-fashioned in some cases. Yeah. All right, and here I've got a nice emoji activity for you. Yes, so we've got emojis on the board. Yes, and the question is, can you guess the following idioms and proverbs from the emojis? I'm going to make it larger. So you've got on the screen, it's seven emoji, not seven emojis, 7 lines of emojis. Yeah, I will help you with the first one. We've got a bed and we've got roses. Yes, somebody is writing in the chat. You can say it. Don't be. Come on. All right. So I can give the example and you keep on thinking. Yes, very good. Yes, so this is a bed of roses, right? So a bed of roses, it is a situation where everything looks perfect. Everybody looks happy. In this situation, everything looks fantastic, ideal. Yes, so you can say, you know, life is not a bed of roses. Yes, so sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad. So this is a bit of an activity for advanced students. So those that may know a bit they may have more experience with idioms. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds or a bit more, a minute. I'm going to give you a minute to think of these idioms. Yes, so I'll help you. We've got something cold. Yes. We've got a vegetable. This is a cucumber, un pepino, a cucumber. Then in the other one, we've got rainy weather, and we've got cats, and then we've got dogs. Yes. In the fourth one, we've got money, and we've got an arm and a leg. Yeah. So let's see what these idioms are. Okay, you're guessing a few. Then we've got an eye, and then number 4, and then another eye. Yeah. Then we've got a clock, maybe representing time. Yes. And then we've got a plane. Yes. You know, planes fly. That's what they do. And finally, we've got the number 2, a kind of dance. Yes. I think that this is like flamenco or something like that, but that's not what I mean. That's what I place the Argentinian flag, to be clear what the idiomatic expression means. So, okay, some of you have guessed some. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you a bit of time. So our students in our virtual platform are writing, and I'm going to let them give us the possible answers. Okay, very good. We've got one in Instagram that you hadn't guessed in our virtual platform. Okay. All right. So I think you have said all of them. Yes, as a matter of fact, you have. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds more. So the second one. All right. Okay. So the second one is as cool as a cucumber. Yes. In Spanish, we use another vegetable. What is the vegetable that we use? It means something else in Spanish. Let me be clear. Yes, lettuce. Very good. We say fresco como una lechuga. But I think that in Spanish we mean actually something else, right? When we are like, I don't know, I would use it if I'm feeling fresh. I don't know. I don't know if it means that. Maybe I'm not that good at idioms in Spanish. But anyway, in English, to be as cool as a cucumber is to be very calm. Yes, calmo, peaceful, especially when the situation would cause the person not to be. Yes, so for example, you would say, I don't know, he was discovered to be with another woman. Yes, he was discovered to be with another woman, but he left the room. I'm going to make it dramatic. He left the room as cool as a cucumber. So very, very calmly. Yes. As if nothing had happened. That's what in English it means. Good. The third one, yes, to rain cats and dogs. To rain cats and dogs. So this one, as some of you have mentioned in our chat, is old-fashioned. Yes, oh my God. The chat is going wild here. Okay, to rain cats and dogs, this is old-fashioned, so I don't recommend you say it unless you are older than 80, maybe that would be appropriate. So this would be rain a lot. Yes, it's raining cats and dogs. Yeah. Well, I can think of some interesting equivalents in Spanish, but I don't think they are quite acceptable for this time. But you can think to yourself, yes, están cayendo, o está lloviendo. Yes, well, you can think of them on your own. So if somebody volunteers, you can a cántaros, all right? Good. All right. Good. Then we've got the fourth one. Somebody mentioned that to cost an arm and a leg. And a leg. So we use this idiomatic expression when something is very expensive. Yeah. So when you say, for example, I bought this new phone, but it cost an arm and a leg. It was very expensive. Yeah. Yes, that's right. In Spanish, we use the word I. Yes, me costó un ojo de la cara. So I think I don't know what's better to un riñón. All right, I don't know what's better, whether to lose an arm and a leg or to lose an eye. I don't know. I mean, it's a question of a careful thought. Okay, so some of you would prefer to lose an eye. All right. Yes, maybe you can keep seeing. Well, let's not joke about this. An eye for an eye. Let's keep on talking about eyes. An eye, an eye for an eye. Yes. What's the meaning of this? So we use it in Spanish too, right? So it's exactly the same. So we use it when we mean that if you do something wrong, you should get the same punishment. Yes, revenge. That's the word exactly. But revenge in the same way. Yeah, and this is an interesting characteristic of proverbs, especially. Proverbs sometimes are really long, but in regular speech, we just cut them short. So we say, suppose that somebody said, I don't know, he, what can I say? He broke my phone. Yes, that would be really mean. But anyway, he broke my phone. So what I did was break his phone too. Yes. So the other person comments, well, an eye for an eye. Yes. So the whole expression would be an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Yeah, that's in English too. But I wrote this to illustrate that sometimes we just cut proverbs short because people already know how the proverb continues. So it's really no use saying the whole thing, yes, because it's like too long. So if I say an eye for an eye, and the same applies, for example, the previous example that we talked about, to kill two birds with a stone. Yeah, you might just say, well, I'm killing two birds. Yes. So this would sound like, oh my God, you're a murderer. But this is part of the expression, I'm killing two birds with a stone. Good. Then we've got time flies. Very good. So, for example, did you notice that it's 6? That is 6:07. Yes. And we started at 5. So if you hadn't noticed, you can say, well, time flies. Yes, time flies. Meaning precisely that we don't notice, and time just goes by. And finally, one that you mentioned at the beginning, this is one that we like as Argentinians. It takes two to tango. Yes, it takes two. It takes two to tango. So that would be, se necesitan dos para bailar tango, in the literal translation. I don't think we use this in Spanish, but well, you might surprise me and say that we do. So this would be used when we mean that we need two people who should take part, yes, in a situation for something to happen. Yes. Or sometimes also when we're talking about accepting blame, yes, aceptar la culpa, yes, when two people need to accept the blame because they are equally involved in a wrong situation. Um, all right, good. I'm going to reset our Instagram live because we're also broadcasting live. This is like uh, uh, an important broadcasting service. We broadcast on different media. So I'm going to share the video on Instagram and start a new one. You can take a 1 minute rest. And I should begin again with a new one. All right. Okay. So here we are again. So it takes two to tango. That's a nice one, isn't it? That it reminds us of Argentina, and it's nice to see that these people also use it in English, right? So they don't dance tango. You know that they love tango because people coming to tourists, either British or American, coming to Argentina or to Buenos Aires, they love going to tango shows and all that. But it's nice to see that they use this word in their language too. Okay, so it's time for phrasal verbs. Yes, enough of idioms. Yes, it's time for phrasal verbs. We had fun with idioms. I hope we have the same fun with phrasal verbs. So what are phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are verbs that consist of two or occasionally three words. So that's quite important, occasionally. So usually it's two words, occasionally three. Yeah. This is a verb, a base verb, and a particle. So, or two, yes, because if it consists of three words, we would be talking about two particles. This particle, which particle sounds like scientific, this particle can be a preposition or an adverb. Yes, so prepositions like up, down, yes, or adverbs like behind or back, yes. Many phrasal verbs are idiomatic, like we mentioned before. So that is to say, the individual words don't help to understand the meaning, yes. But others, and this is the good news for some phrasal verbs, are more transparent. Yeah? That is, we can deduce the meaning. Podemos deducir, in some cases, the meaning, el significado. As we did before with idioms, let's just try to understand this definition. Yeah? Phrasal verbs are verbs that consist of two or occasionally three words, we said. Well, look at the examples where the arrows are pointing. We've got examples with two words. Get up, I get up every morning. Go off. Yes, I get up every morning when my alarm goes off. Yes, cuando suena. Then I turn on my TV, yes, to check the weather, for example. I turn on, yes, or make out or deal with. So these are phrasal verbs with a verb and a preposition, yes, or a particle. These are the most common ones, yeah. And then we've got examples of two particles. For example, catch up with or look forward to, yes. So look forward to, this is to be excited about something that is going to happen in the future, So, for example, I am really looking forward to the end of the quarantine. Yes, so you can say, estoy esperando con ansias. I'm really looking forward to the end of the quarantine. You can't say, I'm looking forward the end, or I'm looking to the end, because look forward to requires the two prepositions. Look forward to, yes. Or catch up with, yes, catch up with. So this means For example, you meet an old friend, yes, that you haven't seen in a long time, and you spend a long time talking in order to catch up with him. Yeah, ponerse al día, para ponerse al día, para ponerse al tanto. Yes, this is to catch up with something. Let's continue exploring this definition. Many phrasal verbs are idiomatic. Yes, the individual words don't help to understand the meaning. So this makes us think of the original, the first meme that we saw, yes, with the cat and the dog. Remember, for example, carry out. Yes, so carry, this is llevar. Out, the opposite of in. So in, out, like outside. But this doesn't help because carry out is llevar a cabo. It has nothing to do with carry and with out. So scientists carried out an experiment. Carry and out don't help us to understand the meaning. But in other cases, phrasal verbs can be more transparent. So we can deduce the meaning. Yes, podemos deducirlo. For example, stand up. Yeah, because stand, yes, is moving in erect position, and up, you know that it means the opposite of down. Yes, so we know what this means. Yes, in this case, we can associate it. Or for example, get up. Like I get up every morning from bed. Okay, up may be connected because get implies movement, and up could be like up off bed, for example. It could be. So in this case, it's more connected with the meaning. Then give up, well, that has nothing to do, like we saw at the beginning, the example with the roses, All right. And here we've got, like we did with idioms, two different categories for phrasal verbs. Yes, we've got phrasal verbs with no object and phrasal verbs with an object. Yes, remember object, this is what usually comes after the verb. Yes, when we say, for example, I love you, I is the subject, love is the verb, and you is the object. Yes, so I, this is the subject because I do the action, and I love you, you is the object because it kind of receives the action. Yeah, so we have phrasal verbs for which we cannot use objects. For example, I have to check in before 8. Yeah, we know this one because we use it in Spanish too. It's like, I would say, one of the very few phrasal verbs that come from English and we use in Spanish. Yes, hacer el check-in. Yes, in English we say check-in as a verb. We don't say commonly to do the check-in. That's not really so common. So this is to register at a hotel or maybe at an airport. So you say, I have to check in before 8. Yes, you check in, or maybe you can say, I checked in. Yes, ya me registré, ya hice el check-in. I checked in, no object. No, I checked in you, or I checked in the TV, or I checked in the wall, whatever. No object. Another example, I wake up early every day. I wake up. You know that wake up is similar to get up, yes? So it means to open your eyes when you are sleeping, or after you're sleeping, in a way. So you wake up, and that's it. You don't wake anything up. Yeah, you don't wake the table up. You wake up. So these phrasal verbs have got no object, but others have got and need an object. For example, if you don't know, look up the words in the dictionary. Look up requires an object. You can't say, if you don't know, look up. No. If you don't know, look it up, or look the words up, or look up the words. Yes, so look up requires an object. So look up is to look for information in a book or a list. Busca las palabras en el diccionario. Look up the words in the dictionary. Or he looked after the baby. Another example with look. Yeah, he looked after the baby. We need an object here. We need the baby. We can't say he looked after, because if you look after, you need to look something. Yeah, you need to look after something. So look after is to take care of somebody. Yes, cuidar a alguien o cuidar a algo. So these are the two types, with an object or without an object. Let's look at now two types with an object. So going back to the previous one, we had phrasal verbs with an object and without an object. The most commons are phrasal verbs with objects, yes, and they can be divided into two categories, separable and inseparable. So separable means that we can separate them. We can separate the verb and separate the preposition or the particle. Inseparable means we can't. For example, I had to look the word up. Tuve que buscar la palabra. In the dictionary, we understand, or in a list. So this is the same as saying I had to look up the word. So I had to look the word up. We can separate it or we can put it together. I had to look up the word. Yeah. The same happens with try on. Yes, probarse. Yes, I tried the jacket on and I bought it, for example, or I tried on the jacket. Both are correct. So you can say I tried the jacket on or I tried on the jacket. Yes, both are correct. But then we've got phrasal verbs that are inseparable. For example, he looked after the baby. Yes, cuidó al bebé. He looked after the baby. We cannot say he looked the baby after. Why not? Because look after is one of the phrasal verbs that cannot be separated. The same happens with get on, subirse al colectivo. He got on the bus. Yeah, we can't say he got the bus on. Yeah, so get on need to be together. Look after need to be together. I'll give you good news. Most phrasal verbs have an object. So we can write a plus because they are more common. So with an object, they are more common. And most phrasal verbs are separable. Yeah, so this is good news. It's a really short list, those that are inseparable. So from what you've just learned, look at these four examples. You know, we've got this woman who cannot stand the music any longer, no soporta más la música. We can use an idiom that we learned before. Do you remember which idiom we use when we are very angry about a situation? We can say, you and your music are doing what with me? An idiom that we just learned. Driving me up the wall. Yes, exactly. You and your music are driving me up the wall. Yeah. So this woman is really tired, cannot take it any longer. So this woman is very polite and she says, please turn the music down. Yes, turn down is not turn off. Yes, turn down, bájala. Please turn down the music. Please turn it down. Please turn down it. There is one which is incorrect. Can you please tell me if it is A, B, C, or D? Which one is incorrect? Which one we cannot use? It's only one, by the way, that we cannot use. All right, so most of you are saying D, and you are right. We cannot use the last one. We cannot say turn down it. So let's understand why. First of all, is turn down a separable phrasal verb or not? Is it separable or not? Is it separable? Like, can we separate it? Okay. Look at the first example. Turn the music down. It is correct. Or turn down the music. It is correct. So this means that turn down is separable. We can separate it. We can say turn the music down or turn down the music. The same with off. For example, apaga la tele. Turn the TV off or turn off the TV. Both are correct. We can separate it. Yeah. And sometimes we use a pronoun when we don't want to repeat the word again. Suppose we are watching the TV. Yes, it's not necessary to say turn the TV off because you know what I'm talking about. So I say, please turn it off, or in the case of the music, turn it down. Yes? So if we have a pronoun, we put it in the middle. That's the rule. If we have a pronoun because we don't want to repeat this, the noun, yes, we put it in the middle. We cannot put it at the end, even with separable phrasal verbs. So the phrasal verb is separable, is separable, lo puedo separar. But when we have a pronoun, it goes in the middle. So here we have the explanation. Turn down is separable, but if there is a pronoun, it must go in the middle. Yes? Good. Let's look at, I have another quiz for you. Yes? We've got another cat in this photograph and a woman kissing a cat. Yes? So it says, while I'm on holiday, can you look after my cat? Can you look my cat after? Yes, remember that. Look after is cuidar. Yes, remember the example with the baby. Can you look after it? Can you look it after? So tell me which one is incorrect. Which one is incorrect? I'm creating the poll. So is it A, is it B, is it C, is it D, or it's B and D that is incorrect? Yes, we have lots of examples with cats. I don't know why. I don't know where we got the idea from. All right. No. I did it myself. I spent hours on these presentations and oh my God. All right. So, yes, he helped. Oliver helped. That's right. He helped walking over the computer and typing on keys. All right. So some of you say B and most of you say B and D. Let's look at the following slide. Yes, so we can see the result. B and D are incorrect. Yes, so look after my cat or look after it. I don't know if you remember, but before we said that look after is inseparable. Yes, it is an inseparable phrasal verb. And for inseparable phrasal verbs, nothing can separate them. So not even pronouns. Yes, so can you look my cat after? No, because you can't separate the verb and the particle. Can you look it after? No, you can't separate it, even with the pronoun. Yes, so the pronoun rule that we learned minutes ago only works for separable phrasal verbs. And here we've got the rule. Look after is inseparable. So not even the pronoun can go in the middle. Yeah? All right, I think it's time. No, it's time. No, it's not time for a quiz. I thought it was time for a quiz. Remember that at the beginning I said, look after, never separated. No, this is a question that you're asking. Cuidar a alguien. You take it as it was just one. Yes, cuidar is always look after. Yes, so you never separated. Remember that at the beginning we said that one of the good things about idioms and phrasal verbs is that we already know the words. So they are usually made of easy words. And for phrasal verb, that's also true. So look at the most common verbs. Yes, these are the most common verbs. So the majority of phrasal verbs, for you to have an idea, use these verbs. And we've got break, bring, call, come, cut, give, go, keep, knock, look, make, pass, pull, put, run, set, take, and turn. And the most common particles are around, at, away, down, in, off, on, out, over, round, and up. So you know these verbs and these prepositions already. The problem is when we put them together. So for example, when we say, all right, break up, okay, it means when a relationship doesn't work, so you separate, yes, you break up. Or for example, bring up, yes, bring up, criar, yes. So for example, I was brought up in a village, fui criado en un pueblo, in a village. Or for example, what else can we say? Break down. Okay, so break down when you are in the motorway and the car breaks down, it stops working. So you see, we can have lots of combinations here, yes? Or yes, break in. So when somebody illegally enters your property, yes? So some burglars broke in a house last night, yes? Entraron, we would say in Spanish. So this is the good news, that most of the verbs we know and the prepositions too. But when we put them together, they are not so common or not so easy to deduce. We have in the following slides some phrasal verbs with the verb come. Yes, so you can see how many we have. We are not going to study them here. You know that after the webinar, the PowerPoint will be available, so you can download it or you can read it. We'll just read a few. So, for example, come across. Okay, this is encontrar por casualidad, come across. For example, I was tidying my room and I came across some old photographs. Yeah. Or for example, come around. Yes. So it's to change somebody's mind. For example, Tom doesn't want to come to the party, but I'm sure that he will come round. Yeah, or come around, both are correct. So that means I'm sure that he will change his mind. So you see, they have nothing to do. It's not that all the verbs with come mean something or all the verbs with around mean something. That's not true for phrasal verbs. Yes, let's look at some more with the verb look. So for example, look for. Well, this one is very common. Look for, buscar. This is one of the phrasal verbs that students learn first, right? So try to find something. I'm looking for my glasses. I'm looking for my phone, yeah? But then if you say, for example, look back, yes, this means to think of the past. So to bring a memory to your mind, yes? So for example, I always look back on these happy times of my childhood. So meaning I think of something that happened in the past. Yes. So notice how many combinations we have with many prepositions. Look at give, for example. We've got give away, give back, give out, give over, give up. We already know, yeah. Let's look at, for example, give away, the first one. So this is to make a gift. Yes, un regalo. For example, here it says, I didn't like that book, so I gave it away. Yes, lo regalé. I gave it away. Yes. It's not when you make a gift for as a present, as a birthday present. Yes, so it is when you don't want it anymore. So maybe it's also related with donate. Yes, donar. For example, I've got some old clothes that I haven't worn for a long time, so I'm going to give them away. Yes, to charity, for example. Yeah, or for example, give back. Yes, so give back, this is more literal. You see, we can deduce it. So give, this is I take something from me and I move it towards you, and back, like again, or as a result of what happened before. So this is back. So give me back my book. Yes, I gave the book to you before, and now give it back to me. This phrasal verb is easy. It's transparent. Yes, it's easy to deduce. phrasal verbs with take. For example, let's look at take after. I like this one, take after. So this is to resemble somebody, yes, in your appearance, behavior, or character. Parecerse a alguien. For example, oh, you really take after your father, yes? You've got the same character, yes? Or you've got a very similar personality, yes? So this is take after, parecerse. Or maybe take up. This is to begin a new activity, to begin a new job. Yes. So, for example, during this quarantine, I've got a lot of examples with quarantine. During this quarantine, I've decided to take up yoga or to take yoga up. Yeah, because it's separable, or to take up yoga classes. So that means I've decided to start, yes, exercising, taking yoga classes. So you see, we've got a lot of combinations, yeah, and then you will have the PowerPoint available for you to explore all the different options. So let's do a quick quiz, yes, and this will be kind of the end almost, yes. We have three phrasal verbs. Get away with, so this is a three-word phrasal verb, yeah, because it's got two prepositions. We've got go on, and we've got look up to, another three-word phrasal verb. So you have to match the meaning. So get away with, for example, you won't get away with that or with it. They will catch you. Is it to happen? Is it not to be punished for something wrong you've done? Yes, no ser castigado, not to be punished, or is it to respect or admire? What is to get away with? You will not get away with this. All right, yes, so most of you are saying B. Yes, so to get away with something is not to be punished. Yes, salirse con la suya, for example, we can say, right? So you will not get away with it. No vas a salirte con la tuya. Yeah, very idiomatic, get away with, right? So away, like distance, or with, like together with, has nothing to do. So get away with is salirse con la suya. Yes, so not to be punished, no ser castigado por algo malo que hiciste, not to be punished. Yeah, this is the meaning. What about go on? For example, hey, what's going on here? Yes, what's going on here? Is it A, B, or C? What's going on here? All right, yes, so it means what's happening, right? What's happening? What's going on? Yes, so as I told you before, remember, phrasal verbs are a bit more informal. Yes, so what's going on there? What's happening? Yeah, and finally, look up to. Yes, this is to respect and admire, respetar y admirar. So I've always looked up to my mother. She's very hardworking. Maybe my mother is watching, by the way, but she will not understand the thing because she doesn't speak English. But anyway, I told her that I would be on Instagram for her to watch. Okay. So yes. Okay. So I've always looked up to my mother. Siempre admiré. Yeah. This is the meaning of look up to. Nothing to do with look and up. So there is no connection really. Good. One more thing. Some phrasal verbs, yes, this is quite interesting, have more than one meaning, you know? So just like verbs, you know that some verbs have got more than one meaning. The same happens with phrasal verbs. For example, get on. Get on could be subir al colectivo, al avión, al tren. He got on the bus. Or could be seguir, continuar. For example, I'm trying to get on with my work. Yes, I'm trying to continue with my work. Or could also be to have a good relationship, tener buena relación. Jim and Ian get on really well, se llevan bien. So, for example, if your nephew who is studying English asks you, hey, what is get on? What do you say? What is the answer that you say? Write it in the chat. I would like to know. So your little nephew calls you and says, hey, you study at White Castle. You know a lot about English. What is get on? I'm doing my English homework. What is get on? What do you say? There is an answer that English teachers use all the time and students hate. Because they say, oh, come on, answer my question. Yes, Juan Ignacio, very good. It depends on the context. English teachers say this all the time. It depends on the context. It depends on the context. And students say, oh, come on, I just want the meaning. Can you please tell me what the word means? Well, the truth is that we can't tell you, or you cannot tell your nephew because you need context, yes? Or sometimes English teachers say, can you read the whole sentence? Lees la oración entera, so you can say that to your cousin too, or your nephew. Well, your cousin too, yeah. He may call you. Put on, the same happens with put on, yeah? I put my best suit on, me puse. You know, or he put the light on is similar to turn on, encendió la luz. He put the light on, or he put on a lot of weight last year, subido de peso. I'm going to use another example with the quarantine. So in this quarantine, everybody is putting on some weight. Yeah. So put on again. Your this time is your niece, not your nephew. Your niece calls you, and they say. Or she says, what is put on? Well, you say, okay, give me more context. Can you give me the full sentence so I can help you? All right. Good. Amazing. I hope that is clear. We've come to the last section of this webinar. Yes, our last 20 minutes. And the question is, how can we learn? How can we learn phrasal verbs and how can we learn idioms? Yeah. So my first tip is using dictionaries. Yes. Any dictionary, for example, any online dictionary or any dictionary you have will give you information on phrasal verbs and on idioms. Yeah. But there are also specialized dictionaries. For example, phrasal verbs dictionaries or idioms dictionaries. Yeah. They are very useful when we are looking up specific idioms or phrasal verbs, yeah? So this is my first tip. My second tip, using self-study books. Yes, self-study, meaning that you study yourself. Yes, so without a teacher. Using self-study books. For example, these are the ones that I recommend, yes? English phrasal verbs in use. Yes, so this is like your student's book, you know, that the one you use in your course, but only of phrasal verbs. So you have different units divided in categories. For example, phrasal verbs for to speak about work, phrasal verbs for traveling, phrasal verbs for, I don't know, to refer to the family. And you have the same series that is English idioms in use. So another book with practice, you know, theory and exercises and answers at the end. So you can check and you can check if it's right or wrong. And there is just another one by Oxford. This is a good one too. Idioms and phrasal verbs. So it's just one book with both of them together. Yes. I will try to make them available on the course page, on the webinar. So you will have the slides and I will upload some of these books in case that some of you would like to practice. So this is my second tip, using dictionaries and self-study books. In combination, that is the best. Yeah? So if you have questions, you go to the dictionary. The third tip is keeping vocabulary notebooks. Yes, so you can see here a photograph of a notebook that a student has written, yes, themselves. And this is a good way because you hear them, you read them, and then you put them in your notebook into practice. Yeah. If you do this, there is only something that you should bear in mind. You should organize them in this notebook. So you shouldn't just write one down, one below the other one, or you shouldn't even use alphabetical order. That really will not help. You have to organize them according to something. The most common thing is semantic field. So semantic field is campo semántico, that is to say the meaning, el significado. For example, idioms to refer to personality, or idioms to speak about work, or phrasal verbs to speak about free time activities. Yeah? Or maybe a word in common. For example, idioms with colors, idioms with animals, or phrasal verbs with come. Yeah, so you can create different pages, or maybe you can do it in your computer, you know, or just other organizing principle. Yes, otra forma de organizarlos that you can think of that is not semantic field or that is not words in common. Yeah, for example, I don't know, phrasal verbs of the book I'm reading. I don't know, phrasal verbs in Harry Potter, for example, or idioms in Friends, in the TV series Friends. So you can choose your organizing principle, but for sure it shouldn't be alphabetical because that will not help you. Yes. Then the next tip, use vocabulary learning apps. Yes, if you go to your app store, yes, you will find, if you search for phrasal verbs or idioms, you will find lots of applications. Most of them are free. Maybe they've got advertisements or publicity. There are paid versions as well. They are not really expensive. So there are a lot. In fact, I downloaded one. I think I downloaded the first one. Yes. And the good thing is that every day I have a notification with a different idiom, for example. So I wake up and I can read a new idiom and I can practice it, and I can click on a button and say, yes, I learned it. Yeah, you don't need to show it to me again. Yeah. Or another alternative is if you use the word flashcard. So if you search, for example, in the App Store, flashcards, yeah, you write this word flashcards, you will see lots of applications with flashcards. Flashcards are very good for any vocabulary learning ideas. So for example, flashcards work like this. You have to enter the information. For example, you write give up, yes, on the one side, and on the other side you write rendirse, yes, and you write a lot of them, and then in your free time you practice them. So you say give up, I think it is rendirse, so you click yes, it's correct, and you choose correct or not correct. So then you will have two lists in your application, words that I learned and words that I haven't learned yet. Yes, palabras que ya aprendí y palabras que no aprendí todavía. So the application will show you words that you haven't learned until you learn them. Hasta que las aprendan, les siguen apareciendo las palabras que uno no sabe. Yeah? For example, I say, give up. ¿Era buscar en el diccionario? No, rendirse. Okay, and I click, no la aprendí. So then it will appear again, for example, some weeks later. And I think it's the last tip. Yes, it is the last tip. Put them into practice. This is the most important one. Yeah. So try to use them when you speak or when you write in English. Yes. So if you're telling an anecdote, if you're writing, when you're writing is easier because you have more time to think. Yeah. You're writing a story for your English class. You're writing a paragraph, or just you're writing for you, yeah, you say, okay, I want to use some phrasal verbs. What can I use? Let's look at my notebook. I want to put some of these. Or maybe you can create stories, you know? So you can say, okay, I will create a story about a family, and I will use my phrasal verbs of the group of family, you know, because you divided them before. Another way to practice is, remember I told you use a notebook, un cuaderno. All right, when you record them, when you write them, it is important that you write examples. So you say, give up, rendirse. Okay, but give more examples. For example, I don't know the answer. I give up. Or maybe I don't know, uncle gave up smoking, for example. In this case, it's not so similar to rendirse, but stop a habit, right? So my uncle gave up smoking. So it's necessary that you write examples. And in these examples, you should provide context. Yeah. And the last tip, which is not in the slides, but which I usually give, is be curious. Have curiosity. Yes. So if you are curious and you want to know and you want to learn and you want to find more phrases, you want to find more idioms, this is the way to success. Yes. So being curious, wanting to learn more. Yes, because you need to go to the phrasal verbs. They will come to you, but you will have to take advantage of the time that you are exposed to this language. So now we're going to devote 10 minutes or a bit less for questions. I don't know if anyone has any questions at this point. I think that a few of you had. So maybe you can ask if you have any. All right. So, Paula is asking about apps. Really, if I have to be honest, I haven't tried them out. I haven't tried them all out. Yes. So try out. This is experiment. Check how they work. I haven't tried them all out, but I think that you can filter by recommended. You know that this is very useful when you learn, when you look for applications, if they have a lot of stars, because sometimes they have a lot of paid features, muchas características pagas, or you can read in the comments. And so if people say, yes, this is a very good app, I learned a lot, and it's got, I don't know, Google, for example, uses a scale of 5 stars. If it's got 4.5, for example, I think it's a good app, but no official app, because there are official apps like Cambridge Dictionary or Oxford Dictionary. You will find those, but they are usually paid. Yeah. So if you want to pay, that is fine. They are not so expensive. If you pay, I would go for a popular one, you know, like not one that you don't know, but all of them will help you, because the thing is, maybe it doesn't work, but you learned one or two phrasal verbs and then you uninstall it and you try with another one. Yeah, it's good to have one on your phone, so instead of playing, for example, a game, yeah, or at night, instead of using your Instagram, you can use your Instagram and also use an application just to learn one phrasal verb a day, or less, one idiom a week. Don't set your goals too high. Don't say, I need to learn all the phrasal verbs, because that is impossible. Nobody knows all phrasal verbs, not even native speakers. Nobody knows all idioms, not even native speakers. Yeah. Well, I'll allow a couple of minutes if you have any more questions. If I see somebody writing in the chat. If you have questions, please write them. Write them now, even though I'll read it later. But don't wait for my answer. So Diego says, which other words are inseparable? Like look after. Okay, which other phrasal verbs are also inseparable? All right. For example, these phrasal verbs that we explored without an object, todos esos que no tienen objeto. For example, we saw get up or get on, yes, these are never separable, because they have no object. No habría con qué separarlos. I'm going to upload, when we finish, I'm going to upload the presentation, a few books, and I'm also going to upload a short list, yes, not a list, because a list is impossible, of separable and inseparable phrasal verbs, a short list, so that you get an idea of how many options there are. But remember, the majority of phrasal verbs with an object are separable. So that is not a problem. Yes? Okay, examples of separable phrasal verbs, practically the majority. So for example, I said look up, buscar en el diccionario, look the word up or look up the word, yes? Or for example, we said, I don't know, we said give, we said, for example, give up. So I gave smoking up or I gave up smoking. That's another separable phrasal verb. So the majority of phrasal verbs that have an object, que tiene un objeto, yes, the majority are separable. Or we said, for example, turn on, turn off, turn down, turn up. All these phrasal verbs are separable. The majority are separable. Yeah. So Chris says, are only the verbs listed which form part of phrasal verbs? It is practically impossible to have a list of phrasal verbs. In fact, a list of phrasal verbs would be a dictionary of phrasal verbs. And a dictionary is this thick, you know? So it would be like 500 pages or more, you know? So this is a list of phrasal verbs. It's impossible to get a list or, I mean, unless you get a dictionary, but it's not a list, it's a reference book. We can find, and I will upload, list of the most common phrasal verbs, maybe 20 most common, 30 most common, 40 most common, but uploading more like 100 would be like too much, you know? That's the difficulty of phrasal verbs. Like any items of vocabulary, we cannot have a list of words, listas de de las palabras, so it would be impossible. That's why we have dictionaries and we have self-study books like I showed you. Yeah. Lore is asking that consists of 2 or 3 words. The majority of phrasal verbs have 2 words. Yes, we could have a list of 3 words phrasal verbs because they are not so many. For example, the most common are catch up with, ponerse al tanto, look forward to, esperar con ansias. Yeah, we studied them. Put up with, soportar. I can't put up with my neighbor. No soporto a mi vecino. I can't put up with my neighbor, for example. Yes, Oliver is saying, I look up the teacher for his amazing English pronunciation. Okay, yes, the phrasal verb is look up to. Yes, this is admirar. It's a 3-word phrasal verb, look up to. So you can say, I look up to my teacher for his amazing English pronunciation. So that would be fine. Yes, of course. Try hard is a phrasal verb. No, it is not a phrasal verb. And this is a good question. Sometimes we have a verb and a preposition, but that is not a phrasal verb. For example, if you say go out or come in, yes, or run away, these are not phrasal verbs. These are verbs of movement, run, drive, walk, come, with a preposition of movement. So for example, drive along the coast, yes, or swim across the river. These are not phrasal verbs. We use swim and a preposition of movement, yes, so they are not. And in the case of try hard, it's just a verb and an adverb. Yeah, maybe we can say that it is a fixed phrase because it's very common to tell someone try hard. Yes, like Lina says esforzarse. Yes, so try hard. So we could say that it's more an idiom than a phrasal verb. Yes, so it is fixed. Es bastante fija la frase. We don't change it. Yeah. Billy asks, what is the difference between take after and take care of? Okay, take after is parecerse. Maybe you're thinking of look after. Look after is cuidar, and take care of is cuidar. If that is your question, there is practically no difference. Look after is cuidar, take care of is cuidar. Maybe, as we said at the beginning, the phrasal verb is a little bit more informal. No es informal, yes? No es coloquial, but it is not as formal as take care of. That would be the full verb, you know? What is my favorite? I feel like, you know, a singer, they ask, what is your favorite song or what is your favorite? I don't know. They are really interesting. I mean, they are interesting to learn, interesting to teach. I think that suppose if you ask me, do you prefer to teach idioms, suppose in an extreme situation, you know, do you prefer to teach idioms all your life or phrasal verbs all your life? I would choose idioms because they are more fun. People laugh because they have equivalents in Spanish. Sometimes they are nice to illustrate. Yes, so you can use nice photographs or nice pictures because they are also very funny. Phrasal verbs are a bit more boring, you know. So there isn't like a way. I mean, you can have fun as well, but idioms are nice because we have an equivalent in Spanish too in many cases, and it's fun to play and find the equivalent. Yeah. So when we said, for example, raining cats and dogs, like some of you mentioned or thought of different possible translations for raining cats and dogs. So that was fun. So well, that's an interesting question. I would say idioms then, if I had to choose one. Yeah. Any more questions that you would like to ask? All right, people, these are the references for my work. I mean, not my work, the references for the slides that I've created. This is where I took the information from. So you can use these references if you want to look for the books that I've used or some of the recommendations. Look back at the webinar page, at the course page in your virtual classroom, so you can find more resources, these books, the presentation, the list that I'm promising you to upload, and so you can practice. People, right on time. Yes, again, right on time. This could be a fixed expression. It's 7 o'clock. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. I hope you have enjoyed it. I will probably see you around. Yes, we will be having some more webinars in August. Yes, you will receive notifications and emails of what they will be about and when. Yeah. Enjoy this weekend. Yes, enjoy next week. And well, have a lovely Saturday evening. Yes, and why not get started with your idiom and phrasal verb work? Yes, you can start downloading these apps. You can start taking that notebook that is not used and write, okay, this is mi libro de phrasal verbs or mi libro de idioms. You can do that. People, thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure. I will see you around. Bye-bye. See ya.